I do in UH Nation, Ed, alongside with Kurt, in Florham Park. Wow. I think that's the way to describe the first game we had on the main court and also the second game.
Yeah.
But before we get to the wow factor, let's talk about the first game on the squash court. We had Free World taking on UOENO.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, for what UOENO thinks they should be, I think they should have had probably a better showing than what they had tonight.
I would have expected
even though it was like a 60-point drubbing.
It was, but I mean they put up 90 something on a team that also put up 90 something. So you'd figure I expected them to be in the hundreds, honestly.
Against Free World,
like 110, 115.
You expected? What did you expect out of Free World? About what you got?
Actually, I expected a little bit less, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they might be in high 20s, so I think they were in like the mid 30s. So they.
Anyway, let's continue. Nick Boy had a couple of nice dunks, but anyway. All right, so we had Disrespected taking on Straight Raw. Coming in, we thought that game was going to be a good game. That was going to be a very close, highly contested game.
Mm-hmm.
But Straight Raw only shows up at 4. So if you think about it, if it's going to be a highly contested, close game, and you have one of the teams with 4, what would you think should happen? Probably a 20, 30-point beatdown.
That's what realism says that. But I think back to the last time where Disrespected or Little Giants had that kind of 5-on-4 matchup.
Versus UOENO.
Right. They also lost that game.
Yep.
And I felt like they fell prey to the same issues this time, which were not taking advantage of that extra person on offense or on defense.
Yeah,
they didn't double team at all. Ooh. And the person who was open on offense never cut to the basket.
Never cut.
So it wasn't until Gale came in and kind of
went on 15-0.
But at that point, the game's almost over. Gale came in, kind of worked the middle around a little bit, was grabbing some rebounds, made some mid-range shots, and kind of made it respectable to some extent, but it still ballooned up.
Her basketball IQ is extremely high.
Mm-hmm.
So when she got on the court, it raised everyone. But, you still, no one drove to the basket. And like I was telling Mark, drive to the hoop because they're getting tired and they're playing a zone, 2-2. Right. So if you drive, they're going to hack.
Right.
Get to the line.
Right.
No one did that. And, ultimately, that's a gimme game, especially in this league. There's not many gimme wins.
Right.
None.
Right. If Gale starts that game, they definitely don't get into a 15-point hole.
If you look at all the teams, there's no gimme win. Most teams,
nights.
There's no gimme
nights,
win.
Yes.
And that was one of them. And hey, listen, for the credit, John, Austin, Drew, they weren't missing. I had never seen Austin. I didn't need to miss a shot.
They played extremely efficient. I don't know if it was just everybody was having a good night, but they didn't really miss too many shots.
No,
they took wide open jump shots.
Yes, they did.
They took wide open. I mean, they're driving to the lane, 2-3 people on them, and they were actually finding the open person. So
they're now 1-3. Straight Raw. Disrespected goes to 1-3. And the main course, the main event was Vivid Solar taking on Rock Nation, and that was the game of the night. It was that coming in, and it didn't disappoint.
I think it's to date maybe the most physical game overall in terms of bodies banging, people hitting the floors. We had a couple injuries, unfortunately, but
if not that game, it would be Vivid Solar taking on Quiet Storm week 1. That was very physical, but that was week 1. Now we're going to talk. It was very physical. I think not Quiet Storm. I think Rock Nation early on dictated their game, and they kind of got Vivid Soul out of their rhythm.
Mm-hmm. And they went away from that towards the end of the game.
In the first half, and you know what? They had Rob Sargent down low. He was him and Jeremy Brown were pound in the paint. A lot of contact, very physical. They called it kind of close. They called it kind of tight early, but then in the second half, they called it very tight. What do you think about that?
I think it was needed to clean it up a little
Even
bit.
the ticky-tack ones?
Some of the ticky-tack ones I think were a bit much.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we had 3 refs, which is a little different, but was...
It's becoming something normal lately. Lately
but that was a good thing, and we definitely needed them
yes,
tonight.
Yes.
We definitely needed 3 refs, so that was good that we had them on hand.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that, to kind of keep the physicality in check sometimes, you have to call some of those fouls. Some of the ticky-tack ones, I guess you can make an argument either way, but they were calling the ticky-tacks kind of both ways. So
yes.
In that scenario, that's the most you can ask for.
Now, what about, this is what we said in the post-game interview with Vivid Solar. They turn up the pace. They're running.
Yeah.
I think that alone is really where the game was lost for Rock Nation. They weren't keeping up the pace.
No. But even on offense, they were coming down. When they took that lead, it was pass, open shot, shoot.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of went more to pass, shoot.
Yep.
And unless you're making it, that's a difficult game plan to stick to.
Now we have Vivid Solar up with about, it's a little above 2 minutes.
Right.
North of the 2 minute mark, I think it's a 5-point game, 4-point game in favor of Vivid Solar.
Right.
Steal. They go down. Joe Roberry goes up, gets fouled hard by Guay Crawford.
Right.
Obviously, because of the rule, the clock stops at 2. So at the 2 minute mark, refs huddle up. Miggs calls a flagrant. The other two didn't have a great angle on it. They go with the flagrant foul. What is your take on that call?
Well,
having seen it under the basket and then having seen it afterwards.
Well, like you said, I was standing underneath the basket, and I think the reason he got the flagrant call was because he was up around the neck.
Yes.
I mean, you can argue with it or disagree with it, but from my experience, that's an easy call. That's going to be a flagrant 9 times out of 10. Mm-hmm. The only time you get away with it is if you guys are colliding together.
Yeah.
You're coming from opposite directions. So I understand why he got the foul call. Obviously, they don't like it because it really swings the momentum.
We got the N1 is made basket, the foul shot, and then the flagrant shots.
Yeah.
So right there, he made 2 of the 3.
He made 2 of the 3. It was a 4-point swing.
4-point swing. I think you're right. Every time you're up around the neck, if you get him with the hand, but the fact that he got his whole arm wrapped around it was an easy call.
It's difficult to argue that.
He had it up, and he might have been going for the ball, but the fact he came down, and just the whole arm was around the neck, chest area.
And then also putting it into context of an extremely physical game, it can look from the ref's point of view like you're sending a message.
Yeah. So then also Joe flew into the wall, Quay flew into the wall. Yeah, it's not like they just kind of, it was a hard, fast pace. And we're talking about, close to 500 pounds of force pushing together. So I think it was a good call. Late in the game, Quash kind of backs into Jordan Taylor.
Yeah, that was...
Quash gets his head cut on Jordan's tooth. Jordan's tooth wraps around his lip, cuts open. We saw the replay. Did you see if there's any malice there, or do you think it was just
I think it was just an unfortunate incident. 2 people who didn't really see each other just kind of bang head to mouth. I can't really say you can look for a foul there, especially...
I think there's no foul.
Seconds left.
We have it on replay. They kind of back into each other. One of the members of Vivid Solar... said that he didn't think it was unintentional, or he didn't think it was gentle. I think maybe it was forced, but I think it was unintentional, the fact that they kind of banged into each other. Maybe he was trying to back up a little bit, but the fact that, back of his head's cut open, bleeding, it's not like he went away with no problem. So
yeah, no, it was an unfortunate incident, but I don't think there was any malice in it.
Sounds good. Now, tonight we should have had Quiet Storm taking Monstars. That'll be rescheduled for December 2nd.
It would have been a packed night.
It would have been a very packed night. There's a rumor going around.
What's that?
That the reason why the game was changed is because you haven't gotten your legs back.
No, unfortunately.
Please,
that's
talk about those rumors
if
you'd like.
That's not true. We would have only had 1 ref, and for these tight games and skilled games,
games.
We really want to have 2 refs so that
of course
both teams get a fair shot, even 3 if possible.
Yeah,
like tonight we had 3.
We were lucky to have 3.
Yeah,
I think everyone was bummed that the game was not tonight, but when you tell them we only had 1 and we want to go for 2,
general,
I think everyone was like, okay.
It's an understandable fact because, like I said, we've all played with 1 ref, and if it's a game where it'll be very close, you want that second ref. You really do.
So
it's okay. It's rescheduled. It's not canceled.
Not canceled. It will postponed, but it will be made up. So full night of hoops comes to a close. Week 4 in the books.
Yeah.
What do you have go? What do you take from the first 4 weeks? Anything? I think the league's wide open still. Quietstorm's 3-0. Yono's 3-0.
No. Like I said, those top 4 teams are easily like right next to each other. Nobody is significantly superior to any team.
I think we don't have much from Hugs and Kisses yet, so they're kind of undecided. I think we can kind of slide straight raw down a little bit. Right now we have those top 5. See a couple of games, see what Hugs and Kisses gives us. They might slide down, but you're right with the top 4 teams. Those top 4 teams, it's gonna be hectic.
Any combination of those 4 teams on the court is going to be a good game.
And Rock Nation's 1 and 2. They could easily be 3-0 against
tight games.
teams.
Tight games.
So, for Kurt, Ed, have a good night.